Can we just talk about how almost no one knows how accurate they were before?
Yeah, no, it's so true. We're having this conversation with a few people right now, right? We're saying like, well, what was your error rate before, right?
Yeah.
And it's
Crickets.
like it's really tough though, and like you can't blame them, right? They're asking the right questions. I think it's just more like, well, as you and I have talked about this, we are harder like on like AI technologies than we are on people.
Absolutely.
Like when I was a customer, my favorite thing, and like I will probably be called out for this as well. My favorite thing was when we were getting audited, like for like having like ML like embedded and like on top of our documents. The question I got asked by our auditors was, well, how do you know it can read right? And my question back was like, well, how do you know that like people can read right? Because like do you do like a literacy test every year to make sure that they have like adequate like reading levels? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what? How do you know that people can read appropriately? And like, this is another thing nobody talks about is if you hire somebody to be on your accounting team or whatever team today, if you hire them today and you onboard them in your production environment. You're like, hey, here's what you do, now go do it, right? So it's like there's this stigma like against like AI and like machine learning that I feel like we're still like working around. It's like, well, how do you know it can do that? How do you know it's accurate? Like same question back, right? And that's why typically when you ask a question like, well, what's your baseline? They're like, well, we don't know. We only quality check 20% of our operations to date. And I'm like, okay, well, in the 20% that you quality checked, like how accurate was that, right? And I think that's like the inflection point that we're at in the market, and I think people are starting to understand it more, right? Which is like, okay, what you're saying is I can be just as accurate as I am today, if not better, right? And I think that's like the best way to start describing it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I had never thought about it from that lens, Brandi, of being like when you hire someone new, they're straight into the production environment, like real repercussions for mistakes as opposed to test environment and 2 or 3 or 4 versions of that testing before it gets implemented into production.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've been in a role like that, right, where I've had to be trained to do that work where my work got QA'd, and yeah, that's there was always, not in my work obviously, but there's always errors.
There's always errors. Like, and the thing is like people make errors, right? Technology makes errors, right? We're all just as good as like we have been taught to be, or that we like are okay with, I guess, is like the best way to describe it.
My cynical thought on this is that people are much less satisfied by yelling at a bot than they are.
I do think it's tough, right? Like it's definitely a transition in the workplace, and yeah, I definitely get it. I think just like Michelle, to your question, like these are the conversations we have with our customers, right? Like this is what you're trying to go after, but really like what are you trying to drive, and like how like are you thinking about the right way? And our biggest thing is like how do we help you like educate like the broader organization or decision makers in like this like transformation or the change process that you're going through today, because it's not just accuracy.